Today, we delve into Chapter 2 of the Tao Te Ching, focusing on a pivotal question: why do humans harbor desires? Having broadly explored the intricate and fascinating Chapter 1, many found it abstract and challenging. Why delve into such abstractions? To ease into Lao Tzu's 81 chapters, we first categorize them. He emphasizes four main themes. First, the widespread chaos in the world, accounting for 20% of the text. Second, the resolution. Lao Tzu introduces the concept of the sage, an enlightened ruler, making up nearly 50% of the content. Here, he delineates the sage's journey to enlightenment and the positive impacts of his governance. Third, the nature of Tao as introduced in Chapter 1. This concept occupies nearly 20% of the text. Is it too abstract? Familiarity brings clarity. Fourth, the remaining sections discuss Lao Tzu's virtue with some overlapping themes, which we will clarify in each chapter. So, what does Chapter 2 address? It speaks of the chaos that stems from humans' relative perceptions and judgments, leading to complex desires. We revisit Chapter 1's nameless and named, extrapolating to desireless and desiring name pertains to cognition. Differentiation naturally gives rise to desire. Chapter 2 thus highlights that all human judgments, whether factual or value-based, are relative. For instance, human rationality is evident in recognizing everything. All cognition involves distinctions, and distinctions are relative. East implies west, south implies north. Hence, it's unnecessary to be self-righteous or obsessed, nor should we let our limited knowledge spawn inappropriate desires. This is Lao Tzu's focal message. Let's read the original text of chapter 2. When the world recognizes beauty as such, ugliness is defined. When goodness is recognized, so is badness. The first half's plain translation: when people define beauty, ugliness emerges. When they define goodness, badness appears. Thus, being and non-being produce each other. Difficulty and ease complete each other. Long and short define each other. High and low depend on each other. Sound and voice harmonize, and front and back follow. We first address beauty and evil in ancient times. Evil described ugliness. Not moral evil, the second sentence's good is contrasted with not good. We must understand the relative nature of beauty versus evil. Good versus not good. In primitive societies, without the concept of beauty, there was no beauty or ugliness. Each face was just a face. Once beauty is defined, those not fitting the criteria are deemed ugly. Likewise, defining good, like philanthropy, means those who can donate are not good. Thus, beauty and ugliness, good and not good become relative concepts. Lao Tzu then outlines 6 objective judgments, which are evident in our understanding of the world. Consider being and non-being produce each other. Being represents the tangible, non-being the intangible. Without this distinction, being and non-being producing each other makes no sense. It's not that non-being creates being. For example, a wilting flower still exists as soil nutrients. Thus, Lao Tzu's being and non-being refer to tangible and intangible things, judged visually. Similarly, difficulty and ease are relative. High school math seems easy compared to harder concepts. A math problem itself isn't inherently difficult. It depends on the solver's context. Long and short define each other. A foot is long compared to an inch. Without an inch, a foot would not be long. The foot becomes short compared to a yard. High and low depend on each other. A mountain's height is relative. It's high compared to a hill, but low compared to the sky. High and low are interdependent. Sound and voice harmonize. Ancient Chinese distinguished sound, voice, and music. Voice is simple vocalization, even by animals. Sound is a combination of voices to convey specific meanings. Music is the expression of inner feelings. Therefore, sound and voice work together with Tzu. Therefore, sound and voice work together, with sound conveying meaning through voice. Front and back follow each other. Being in front implies someone behind. Whoever leads, there's always someone ahead. Front and back are relative. These 8 relative judgments, 2 on values beauty and good and 6 on facts being and none, being, difficulty and ease, long and short, high and low, sound and voice, front and back, stem from human cognition. Such cognition involves distinction, differentiating beauty, good, being, non-being, leading to desires. Comparisons lead to preferences, causing complex desires. Thus, Lao Tzu immediately reminds us in Chapter 2, human rationality relies on naming. But naming leads to complex desires. Remember, all distinctions are relative. When you deem someone beautiful or good, the opposite for others becomes ugly or not good. Aren't these distinctions shaping subjective desires? Preferring what's generally deemed good, shunning the bad. For example, a beauty contest with 10 identical finalists due to surgeries conforming to societal beauty standards, a unique phenomenon with undesirable consequences. In this episode, we learn that Lao Tzu views human cognition as form and relative viewpoints. Different angles and conditions yield different results. Knowing this, we approach an object from multiple perspectives for a complete understanding, avoiding biased desires. We shouldn't judge solely from one standard, which can lead to complex dilemmas. Cognition, being distinguishing in nature, becomes a dilemma. Lao Tzu emphasizes that societal issues mainly stem from treating cognition as distinction. How do we solve this? More on this later. In this episode, we learn Human cognition and judgments are relative, both in values and facts. Relativity implies complementarity, each needing the other. Understanding this, we won't be overly fixated on what's right or good, avoiding biased desires. This is what Lao Tzu hopes we understand in Chapter 2. Post-quest reflection, finally, consider Lao Tzu's intent. He's not asking us not to judge, but to understand that judgments like beauty and ugliness, good and not good, are relative. Avoid being too fixated on such distinctions, and try to view the same person or thing from multiple perspectives for a complete understanding, preventing biased desires. Do you think this idea offers practical guidance for our lives? I'd like to hear your thoughts. See you in the next chapter.